Show Muscle Meals with Steve. That's me. Today I'm going to make a quiche. Swiss cheese, asparagus, tomato, and mushrooms with a couple of spices, and we're going to cook it all in a frying pan, saute the vegetables, and then transfer it over into a pie dish and bake it in the oven. So let's get started, and I will see you in a few minutes. We're going to start by sauteing some onions in a hot frying pan, about 375 degrees. And we're going to make them soft and golden brown. We'll saute them for about 5 minutes. And we're going to add some bacon to it right now, just to add some flavor to the quiche. It already smells great. And this should not take too long. I pre-cut the vegetables so that you didn't have to be bored watching me chop them. I used a Vidalia onion because I like it that it's sweet, but you can use any vegetables or any ingredients you want on this quiche. These are just some of my favorites, some items that I happen to have. So the onions are starting to get golden brown, so I'm going to add in, I chopped up fresh asparagus, so we'll want that to be soft. And I'm cooking these vegetables in an order from harder to softer, so at the end we're going to add some mushrooms and some tomatoes, but they cook relatively quick, so I don't want to overcook them and make them mushy, and the onions and the asparagus and the bacon will take a little bit longer. This bacon was pre-cooked and crumbled, but you can use any other type of meat like ham, prosciutto, anything that you like. Just a couple of seconds. I need to turn up the heat a little. And I started with just a few drops of olive oil, and I use a sprayer to spray the olive oil into the pan. And it really smells great in here. I've been sauteing the vegetables for just about 5 minutes. And I don't know if you can see that the onions are getting brown and the asparagus are turning bright green. And to this, I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of mushrooms. And all these quantities are to your liking, so if you wanted to put less mushroom and more asparagus or delete something, you could. And again, we're going to start sauteing the asparagus, mushrooms, onions, and bacon for about another 5 minutes. And I'm going to add in some chopped up small tomatoes. I used a very tiny kind because I didn't want really big chunks, but again, you can use anything you like. And we're just going to cook that for about 1 to 2 minutes so that it starts to cook the tomato a little bit, but I don't want to overcook them because they will be baking in the oven. And this is pretty much ready. We're going to add some spices, some flour. I'm going to whip up the eggs, and when I come back, I'll put it all together, put it in the crust, and pop it into the oven. I'm preparing the egg mixture. I'm using 4 eggs. I'm going to use 2 whole eggs, 2 egg whites. I'm going to use a little bit of what I call carton egg, kind of stuff you can buy in the supermarket, just to add a little bit more texture and yellow color to it, since I'm mostly using the egg white to make it a little more healthy. So we'll pour a little of that in, and I will use the whisk and whip it up. And we're going to add a cup of milk. You can use heavy cream or half and half. Again, that will make the calories higher, and I'm using 1% milk because that's what I drink. Either that or skim, but I find 1% works better in the quiche. And to that, I'm adding a tablespoon of flour, a pinch of salt and pepper, and a ½ teaspoon of nutmeg. That'll give the quiche a real warm, nutty flavor. And again, we're going to stir that up and whisk it for just a couple of seconds, making sure all the spices get in. And then we're going to add the vegetables, and pour it into a pie tin, and I'm using a pre-prepared crust today. And then we'll bake it in the oven at 325 degrees for about 35 to 45 minutes. And we'll add some cheese, of course. We need to add that up. Today I'm using Swiss, and I'm using some Gruyere because it has a smoky flavor. And when I come back, we'll put it all together and make it. Add my sauteed vegetables into the egg and milk mixture along with the flour and the spices. And again, we'll stir that to make sure it's mixed up, and then we're going to add our two types of cheese. I'm using the Gruyere, which has a smoked flavor, and then traditional Swiss cheese. Again, you can use anything you like. Up to you. We'll mix it all together, and I'm going to pour it into a prepared pie tin. Now, I put aluminum foil around the edge so that it doesn't burn. It's going to cook for about 35 to 40 minutes. I don't want a really dark crust. That's my preference. So I've covered the edges with foil. About 10 minutes before, I will take off the foil just to let the crust brown a little bit. So let's get that poured into here. And it comes right up to the rim. Sometimes when you use a little bit too much egg or egg beaters or egg starters, then it might flow over, so you would just have to pour a little bit less. And I like to get everything, and grab a spatula and get all the good stuff out of this little bucket and into the quiche. This is a healthy, protein-rich meal. Again, you could have added steak, anything you want, and it is finished. I will show you what the finished product looks like. And there you have it. It's ready to bake into the oven. 325 degrees, 35 to 45. Just want to make sure it's set and comes out solid, not liquidy on the inside. And I'm going to put it in the oven, and then we will take it out in about a half hour. And here's our finished quiche. Looks good. The crust got a little messed up on the side from pulling off the aluminum foil, but that's okay. It's still going to taste great. Enjoy!